You don't need Netflix, you don't need cable. Hop on YouTube, welcome to the hood table, where we chop up local and global events vocally. You don't really wanna miss out on these conversations. Just joke a little, laugh a little, get that money in your system, fill your glass a little, expose current events, talk trash a little. You never know, these opinions might clash a little. They addicted to the content, got them binge watching. You don't like it, then you want invited. Bet your friends watching in the house and your job parking lot before you clock it. They don't want to miss a second of this HD content. Everybody think they got something to say, so it's an open invitation. Bring it to the table, but if you come whack, just know we ain't buying in. We gon' probably turn your back and tell you sorry. Try. Yeah, welcome to the hood table.
Hey, everybody, come on in.
Yeah, welcome to the hood table. You don't need Netflix,
you don't need cable. Hey. Welcome back to the hood table, everybody. I see y'all coming in already, tuning in from Facebook and tuning in for YouTube. Please make sure you guys like the video, share the video, subscribe to the hood table on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and IG. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Now, as I told you guys this morning when we had our little morning live, our little coffee talk this morning, I said I was going to bring on the show tonight one of the city council candidates who is running for District 2 City Council here in Omaha, Nebraska. So we're going to chit-chat with him tonight about what he got going on and what's his views on the city, and discuss his campaign, ask him a little bit of questions. So please, if you have any questions for our guests, just type them in the chat and we will try to get to any questions that people might have. And go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
All right. Hey, my name is Johnathan Lathan. I was born and raised in Omaha, Nebraska. I said I graduated from Berg, but I spent most of my time at Central. So I was in the Army for 14 years total. When I got out of high school, Omaha really didn't have the opportunities that I thought it would have for me. You know, the biggest thing is everybody wants to push these kids to go to college, but one of my biggest beliefs is everybody's not meant for college.
Right.
So I left, I joined the military. I got back in 2017 and I saw that there's still some of the same concerns in the community that were here when I left. So I want to try to do what I can to build a future for myself and my kids and everybody else's kids in the city of Omaha without everything that's currently going on here.
Okay, I agree. There are a lot of things that needs to be focused on and a lot of regrouping in our city. Welcome to the chat, Carmel Diva. Hey, love. That is my beautiful co-host,
hey.
Carmel Diva.
How you doing this evening? Hey, boo.
I'm good. How you doing? Feel free to jump in, Carmel Diva, anytime you want to ask a question to Mr. Lathan. One of the things I wanted you to discuss was you just mentioned how when you came back from the military, you saw that were some things that still were the same, still present in our community. So what are some of those things that you noticed?
There's still a lack of jobs. There's still not as much economic stability as we'd like to see in North Omaha as a whole. One of the things that they're working on right now, I know there's a couple people trying to get the Bismuth Improvement District going up for the North Omaha area. And I know that the Downtown Improvement District, they use those funds to repave their roads and, shovel their streets, and they do their own stuff over there in downtown area. I've already talked to Ms. Barrett about that. So if we can get our improvement district built up to that level and surpass it, then that'll definitely be something beneficial for our community, because that's what I believe in. We need to maintain doing things for ourselves instead of focusing on outside resources to do them all the time for us.
True. As far as the downtown, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Carmel.
Oh, I was going to say, that's what I'm always talking about, that SOS, save ourselves, where we need to start doing for ourselves more instead of depending on the government. Always trying to, quote unquote, come to our rescue. We need to, have a sense of community again, where we take care of one another. And, we strayed so far away from that. And Tanya, I always say we now live in a me society instead of a we society.
Yeah.
And look where that's gotten us. And so we need to get back to our roots. And those of us, who did not have roots, or those people who didn't have roots, we need to be the examples and show them, be the model for them, and to help them along their path.
Right. I agree. I absolutely agree. One thing I wanted to mention was about you discussing the downtown and them paving their streets and everything. How do you feel about the way the city is going as far as the changes they're making in the downtown, in the 24th Street area, in the 30th Street and Parker area? A lot of people in our community are, saying that it's a threat. They're trying to potentially force people out, take over more of our community, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
With all
It's
these
gentrification.
Yeah. Yeah, and it is absolutely a threat to what's going on and what we want as a community. So right now, I know that there's a plan to try to get market rate housing down in North Omaha. That's something that they're working on. So you're telling me that you want to build, $200,000+ houses down here in this area. We aren't giving the residents the jobs to be able to sustain that type of income, one. And then number two, my thing about that is, if you're going to allow these developers to come in and build these types of houses, some of those units need to be made available for the low income residents. So at least 15% or 20%, it can be, a number that no less than that needs to be made available for the low income residents. You're not going to come in here and develop $200,000 houses and expect, not to be able to make room for the individuals that already live here. That's unacceptable.
right. Right. I know those one apartments, I think they're townhomes, like right on 30th and Parker. I remember when they first built those, and actually one of my god sisters was interested in getting one of those. And she said the rent was like $1,200-1,300 a month on 30th and Park, where they knocked down the previous projects. And she said she didn't think it was worth it. And then they turned around and they put them on Section 8. So I think
Did they?
yeah,
Yeah, the Highlander is right there. Yep, absolutely.
she was gonna pay full rent. That's what they were when they first started. And now they're Section 8, and still yet I'm like, well, a lot of people in North Omaha probably can't afford those apartments unless you're on Section 8. So, and then like you said, with the $200,000 homes, like, who can really afford those? Why aren't they building more properties, newer properties that we can actually afford in the community? I guess is the question.
At the end of the day, I think it all comes down to the dollar, and it comes down to someone not putting an end to that type of activity happening. Somebody needs to put their foot down and say, hey, this has to stop. Just like Carmel was saying, hey, we got to save ourselves. We can't allow these developers to come in. We've got I know a guy, Andre Rash. I know he's the big story, I guess, for the land bank. Oh, we had this one guy come in and he bought this property and he rented. Yeah, but that's one guy. Why don't we allow more individuals in the community to be able to buy those properties, to be able to renovate those, to be able to rent those out? And, Andre, I've heard of him in passing, but who knows? Maybe you give him 2, 3, 4 properties. Maybe he's renting those at a lower rate because he's putting back into the community. That's what a lot of us want to do, is put back into the community, but we're not being allowed those opportunities because outside people are coming in and buying us out, basically.
Yeah, that's true. Now, you got any questions, Karma Diva, before I continue? I don't know if she's hearing me. Well, one thing I did want to mention, I don't know, is that her phone making that clicking noise? I'm gonna just mute her real quick so I can figure out where the noise comes from. Okay, I think it might be yours. Yeah, because she's muted. So I don't know what it is, but we'll continue. We'll continue. Now, what I wanted to ask you about, I had saw that you had posted something on your Facebook page, and I had discussed it a little bit last week. You were basically calling out the mayor on a pledge that her and Chief Smart, and I never say his name right, Smarterer had announced. And I did the reason why you had mentioned that, I believe, was after the last police killing of Kenneth Jones. So what I'm going to do real quick, I'm going to play this little clip so that everybody can know exactly what you were referring to on your Facebook post. Okay. All right. So let me go ahead and share the screen. Share audio. Here we go. Let me make it really big so everybody can see it. James Stockton.
Yeah.
All right, let me make sure y'all can see this. I'm gonna make it really big. Okay, I think that's big enough.
Good afternoon. First, I want to thank Chief Schmatter and Sergeant Anthony Connor and the negotiating teams for their work to reach an agreement before the current contract expires at the end of this year. Omaha police officers demonstrate their commitment to the job and to our community every single day. Every day they go to work to protect and to serve us, and some never come home. This 5-year agreement is a commitment from us, from you, to our officers and our community. The number of complaints against officers remains low. Reports of excessive force are down, and the OPD clearance rate remains one of the best among all major cities in the country. These statistics tell the story of a professional, nationally accredited police department that is dedicated and responsive to our community. My goal was to make a very good police department even better. In June, Chief Schmatter and I announced a series of initial actions to enhance transparency, accountability, and training. We pledged that those would be our first steps. This tentative agreement is another step. This year, I joined our lead negotiator, Mark McQueen, and Chief Schmatter at the negotiating table, and that's the first time that I have done that. My role is to represent the taxpayers and to negotiate an agreement that is fair to our citizens and also to our employees. It has been approved by the Omaha Police Officers Association membership and by the City Personnel Board. And now I am asking for your support. The agreement includes increased officer accountability, more transparency, and an easier process for citizens to make complaints against police officers. It also includes a financial package with salary increases, pension reform, and changes in healthcare. First, accountability and transparency. The tentative agreement makes the process to file citizen complaints against police officers easier and more accessible. It also creates a new committee with a citizen member to review officer reprimands that have been challenged. Appeals of disciplinary reprimands will now be exclusively decided by a reprimand committee. The decisions will be final and binding. This does not replace the officer's right to due process through arbitration. Citizens will also have expanded options for making complaints against police officers. Currently, the process requires an in-person interview with the police department's internal affairs division or a member of the police command staff. The in-person interview now can be avoided if the complaint has been notarized. Those complaints can be mailed or delivered in person to the City of Omaha Human Rights and Relations Department or a Citizen Complaint Review Board. Second, the financial package is fair to our police officers and equally important to our taxpayers. The agreement calls for a modest annual wage increase. We also continue needed progress towards pension reform.
Okay, I'm gonna just stop it right there because that was a very long city council meeting of which Johnathan has attended, and he has attended a lot of city council meetings in like this past year. But that is basically what you were referring to when you made that Facebook post on your Facebook. So basically, let us know what drove you to posting that in regards to Kenna.
Right, so as you already said, that was a 5-hour city council meeting. And then most of the meeting was about that police contract, and that was November 10th. So less than 2 weeks later, you have an officer involved police killing of another unarmed or another black male. Like, we can't, if you're saying, oh, we want increased transparency, accountability, and training, first of all, the training was my biggest issue that I've had. Like I said, I've been in combat, I've been in active combat. I deployed to Iraq in 2004, and I deployed to Afghanistan in 2013. And so I've been in high stress situations where I've dealt with armed individuals, I've been fired at, I've had, IED detonations, things like that. So we had to follow the rules of engagement, though. So just because you see someone with a gun does not give you the right to shoot an individual with a gun as far as military standards. And that's what my thing was on the police level is, okay, where's this transparency at? Where's your rules of how you handle armed individuals or unarmed individuals? So that was that. And then with the accountability part, like I said, we knew for a fact if we did something wrong, we were going to jail. There was no gray area there, period. There was no arbitration boards. There was no paid leave. It was, you knew not to do this. You did this anyway. You're going to jail. So I think that besides the body cam footage, which is another issue because I don't know if you knew this, but Don Klein's office is in charge of the grand jury's part of this as far as the coroner's report and the grand jury. And we know what happened with Don Klein this past summer.
Oh, so, yeah.
That's gonna be a mess in itself. So I think that's gonna cause a problem as far as the transparency piece. But even the words that she said about the accountability and the training, what level of training are these police officers getting? You're saying, oh, we're gonna give an extra year before they're actual police officers, and they're gonna do this extra year of field training. But the officers that were involved in this were on the force for 6 years. So what is, how does an extra year of training play out in the long run when you've got 6-year officers that are still doing things that the public sees as inappropriate? And, even in the interview, the chief said, and I don't know if you watched it, but it bothered me to my soul because he
and who's training them and what are they training them for? Because this is stuff they should already know.
Exactly. And
right.
He said that he reached in his pants and he had his hand in the pistol grip. That's what he said again. He reached in his pants and had his hand on the gun inside of his pants. Why do you disengage from him so you can draw your firearm? You're supposed to be Joe Hero. I know me. If I have my hand on somebody's gun that's a suspect, I'm going to pin his gun to his leg or whatever, and I'm going to take him down. I'm not going to give him a chance to draw it or me a chance to draw my gun either. There are in-between factors that could have been handled this way. So that was my thought process about that. But again, it's their words that they need to stand on. If he was holding his gun inside of his pants, what went wrong between that and the point where the officer drew his gun and had to fire it? So there's spots in there missing that.
And I was trying to, there's so many police.
Now, did he actually draw his weapon?
No,
I think he was just holding it, or he was touching it, I think.
Yeah, they said that he was touching it, but initially they were trying to say that there was a struggle, and there were a lot of questionable parts of that encounter that I think that there needs to be more light shed on.
And
and what always upsets me is that, it seems, and I'm just going to say allegedly, or it seems that different areas of the city police differently. Like, had that been a suspect of another color, they would have used a taser or maybe a baton, or like you said, one of their tactical moves versus shoot first and then answer questions later.
Definitely.
To try to cover. And, have we even seen anybody cam footage yet?
No, they had still shots at the press conference.
Yeah, I saw the still shots, but
nothing moving. nothing active, nothing showing windows being busted out of the back seat, and you know, him being dragged out of the vehicle. We haven't seen anything to that sort.
Right.
Mm.
And every traffic stop or officer involved shooting lately takes me back to the George Floyd protest, where y'all remember where it was a guy running around downtown. What was that white guy's name? And he had a gun and he was shooting and people. I think he actually killed somebody and shot others, and he lived to see another day. So
Oh,
it's like,
Yeah, the young
y'all
white
know
kid
what
that
I'm
shot with
talking
that
about.
what was that, a AR-15?
He had I don't know, he had a big gun. I remember he had a big gun, and he was just
Yeah,
shooting
he
at
was literally
people.
walking down the street, the middle of the
Right,
street, and
like
people
pow,
were
pow,
trying to
pow, just
stop
shooting
him.
at people.
yeah.
And the
And
police were like getting on the people trying to stop him. And the dude, he wasn't even from Minneapolis.
And he's out on
He
bail
lived
now.
in like Ohio or some shit.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, someplace.
that's
Yeah,
that's okay. But
You know
yeah,
I
when you
slid.
talk about the transparency and the training, like I saw another video with Jean Stothard in it, and she was saying something about they were going to do more training where police is using the taser more than shooting, and they was going to deal with people with mental illnesses differently and things like that. But I wonder, like, what is the use of having a taser if y'all never use it and you
Thank
always
you.
go for the gun first? Like, y'all
Thank
always
you.
shoot first. And in a lot of situations that I've seen, it seemed like a taser could have been beneficial. They could have arrested the person, taken him to jail. He could have stood trial, and he'd still be alive, today.
9 times out of 10, like you said, that person would still be alive if they would have. You and like you, I'm sorry, I'm getting tongue tied because I'm getting mad, but
Oh,
you,
It's worth it.
you
It's
but
a dangerous topic.
but you said they're gonna do things with people with mental illness different. How do you know if somebody got a mental illness?
They don't ask questions.
mhm. They don't ask
They can't.
questions because the
They
incident that happened a few years back with the
yeah,
guy, the
with Bear
Indian guy,
Hills,
Yeah.
Bear
the
Hills, yeah.
Bear Hills. Hmm.
And
But
I
yeah,
mean, you can't, you don't. It ain't like people walk around with it wrote on their forehead in marker that I have a mental illness. Treat me differently.
right.
That
Yeah. There's no
don't get
way
me
that they
wrong.
could know, but
There are some that you can you can look at and be like, okay, they may be a little different,
how about
but
asking questions? Like, how about, are you currently taking
exactly, because you
medication,
never know for
or have you
sure.
ever been in a hospital? Have you? I mean, there's just I can, we
You never
just
know for
people in the
sure.
community can think of different things that they can probably do, but it, it's
But their
sometimes
comeback is always going to be, but you're not there in those seconds. You're not there in those intense moments.
But that's
yep.
why I told him that though. When I wrote that press release, I told him I've been in those intense moments. You can't. There's been situations where you have to be able to, if the training allows you to assess that situation. So that's where it all comes back to that training. If you're giving that enhanced training, then in that 2-second moment, you know what to do and what not to do if you've been trained enough to be able to handle that situation. So
Right.
that's why I want her to stand on those words of, okay, if this is the training that you talked about we need, or if this is the transparency and accountability, then stick to what you're saying. Stand on what you're saying.
Right.
Right.
I got you.
Let your word be your bond. Let your word be your bond.
Exactly. We need something that we can believe in, and that's a problem with a lot of people that run for office. It's like, who should I believe in? Should I just pick the lesser of two evils? Should I, something like that? But
A lot of time it's a lot of lip service. They're going to tell you what they want you to hear or what's going to pacify you enough to calm you down, and so you will leave them alone.
Yeah.
And that's going to be it.
Yeah, one of the biggest things I'm running on right now is that the fact that I'm not a politician. I'm a guy, like I said, came from Omaha. I moved back. I still see there's some things going on, and with everything going on this summer, like somebody gotta stand up. We still haven't heard a word from any of our representatives. Well, any of our in office. We got elected representatives like Terrell, who did mention something about the Kenneth Jones shooting. but the people that are in the seats, we haven't heard a word from them about
It's
hardly
like,
anything that happened this summer. So, like I said, I not understand that there's a role that you're supposed to play, but I'm not a stay in your role person. If something's wrong, it's wrong. It doesn't matter what is going on. So
well, you
that's
know what?
yes.
I just had a thought while you were talking about that. I think within like the last few years, the biggest outcry I've heard in our city was probably, I don't know if Carmel Diva remember, but remember when they had that issue at the Black Museum with that
Oh yeah, that was
artist,
last
that
fall. Last
artist
fall.
that was
Yeah,
last
last
fall.
fall.
I mean, Ernie Champ, everybody was down there on 24th Street, um, trying to tell this lady to take those words off the glass wall. I'm like, I've seen a bigger outcry there than I have over any of the police shootings, any of the traffic stops, police brutality than I see. And you're right. It's like a lot of people are not out there speaking up on these things. And then what do we as a people do? You know? And then when I was talking to you earlier, Jonathan, I was telling you how I was watching some of the city council meetings. They're just throwing people out left and right, left and right. The people yelling, defund the police, calling Gene Stothard a liar. I mean, they was really going in on that. And
The thing with that is there's no. So a little bit of history about me too is my mom is old school. So my mom's sharecropper from Holly Springs, Mississippi. That's the way she grew up. She grew up under Jim Crow. She grew up with all that stuff. She did the lunch counter sit-ins. She did that. And the way that she explained it to me was, Bear does a great job with these protests. He's one of the people that I've seen out there, at the front trying to do what he can. But there's not a unified person to go speak to the authorities and say, this is what we're demanding as a people.
there you go.
That's the representative that you need. You need someone
Yep.
that can be out there on the front lines, but also has to switch it up and sit in the office at the same time.
Right.
And I think that that's something that I can bring to the table is, I'm all for being out on the front lines as I've been there, but there's also a time where, okay, look, the protest is over, the marching is over. What can we do to get this resolved? If we can't get this resolved, then we're gonna need to step this up a notch and keep pushing the envelope. But
And that's what I said this summer. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, you're fine.
No, I was just saying that's what I was saying this summer. I was proud of our young people out there standing up for their rights, standing up for themselves, out there protesting, making their voices heard. But okay, you grab their attention. Now what?
Yep.
Because see, all you're doing now is yelling. That's not going to change anything legally. You have to have the mind. You have to have the mindset for it too. You have to have the legal part down too. You have to be up, like you said, you have to be able to go in there and talk to these people and not always yelling, because what did it get you? It didn't get us nowhere. You got a bunch of people maced this summer, and that was it.
Yeah. I showed a video the other day on the when they were where was that at? Downtown on like 20th or 24th Street when they were
And see, I didn't know. I knew they were
yeah,
down there, but I didn't know when they were on the side of the police station. I didn't
it
know
was
all of
bad.
that was going down.
It was
I didn't
bad.
know all that happened.
It was
And
bad.
I went down there and I kind of watched what was going on from the sidelines. And like you said, Bear was down there getting everybody together. But when there's nobody on the opposing side, the police are standing there. First of all, they're getting paid overtime. So
Right.
if you're protesting, you're talking about defund the police and protesting, but they're getting paid overtime to sit and watch you protest, which is absurd to me. But there's nobody that wants to come out. Nobody came out and said, okay, nobody tried to quell the protest. It went from 0 to 100.
It did. And I heard a lot of the police officers, they was calling them horrible names, cursing them out. Now I get protesters, that kind of falls into what they do sometimes. They get angry, they get loud, but the police were seeming like they were they were just adding more fuel to the fire, you know. And
Not
I
to
just like,
defend them, Tanya, but they people too. They can
yeah,
only take so much too.
I
Yep.
understand that, but their job though is to stand there and make sure that there is no um if they like guarding a particular place, they're supposed to make sure they stay in their particular area. They don't go on the street. Police aren't supposed to be cussing at them and calling them all kind of names and things like that. That's just not what they're supposed to do.
Yeah. So
Whether
I was gonna say, so it's like Carmel said then. So they have to have a spokesperson too. If they're getting to that level where they feel like that's what they have to do, then they need to have somebody come out and be that face for them too and say, okay, look, we both had enough of this. What do we need to do to get this resolved? And nobody's looking for resolution. It's like they're eating it. It's like the city's eating it up right now. They're feeding off our energy.
they're enjoying it.
Yep,
They're enjoying it.
They're letting it fuel because, like I said, nobody's came out. That's why I called the mayor out. Like, you're the face of the city. You need to say something. You can't just worry about people past 120th. You got you got a whole nother half of the
Thank
city
you.
that is looking for your guidance. And if you can't give it to us, we're gonna get it ourselves.
And that's exactly what's going on.
Yeah. And so we need to have a strong system at that level of somebody that, like I said, I'm not, I understand if I get in that position, she may be there or may not be there, but so it's going to be a holding her accountable in that spot too. It's not going to be anything personal. It's going to be professional at that point.
She just signed to run again.
Yeah.
So I know who. Well, we ain't gonna discuss who I will or will not vote for. Let me.
I ain't voting for. Hell, I'm gonna make it. You know me. I'm gonna say it. I ain't voting for her ass. I ain't vote for her
Well, you
before.
already know I'm not. I just was trying to be funny. But
I know.
let me ask you, Mr. Lathan. Out of all the things that we discussed about, what's the major issue that you, if there's one that just stands out from the rest that you plan to address once you if you're elected city council?
So it has to be the economic stability. It has to be. Because the economic stability is the being able to get the jobs. Like I said, it's the improvement districts. So and that funding goes into the schools. So that economic stability, it affects the education system, it affects the housing market. So, the broken window system where all these kids, we see all these abandoned houses, we see all these buildings that are torn down and run down. If we can build up the area more economic.
Oh my God, I was just sitting here thinking that.
Yeah, if we can build up the area, because like I said, I hate to make it a north versus west thing, but it is. You don't see those broken windows and those torn down buildings in West Omaha. Why? Because they'll call somebody real quick and it'll get taken care of. Now, like I said, our current representative, I know that the projects over there, they had a whole big news article about that, but that took how long for somebody to step up and say something about that?
Right.
So that, the residents shouldn't have to, as the representative, you should know these things occur before you get 1,000 complaints about it. Like I said, I've got 5 kids that are all going through OPS growing up in, down here in North Omaha. They shouldn't have to, they should be afforded the same opportunities that the other half of the city is afforded. As far as schools are, as far as housing is, as far as, income, being able to find a job. My oldest is 17. So that's another reason why I'm so adamant about trying to run this year, because he's lost a lot of his year due to COVID. So he lost football. Yeah. He's losing basketball already. SATs have been delayed. So I know I'm not the only one that has a senior, especially that's struggling on what is going to happen next year.
Right.
So
I have an 18-year-old senior myself, and he's excited to go to college, but I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen this next year. I don't know if after the Christmas holiday, if y'all are even going to have school.
Yeah.
Right.
I think they should just go full remote again, because the students were working better that way than this 3-2 stuff where the remote students are just doing, they check in the morning, or at least the elementary kids. They check in the morning for like 30 minutes, and then they're on their own for the rest of the day.
Yeah, and then that's further.
Whereas with my,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
And I was gonna say, and that's further putting us behind as well, because that 3-2, they're not getting the engagement that they need. Because like I said, I have a pre-kindergartner too that's under that same system, and he's not being afforded that interaction at that grade level that you need for that social development also.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That we're falling behind as a community too because of the 3-2. So, you know, the community, I want the community to come together as a whole to, like you said, save ourselves. We can't keep depending on all these other outside entities to try to help us. I mean, if I need 4 kids come over my house and we do some type of structured learning, then you know that's what we used to do back in the day. You and your
Yep.
cousin,
And that's what I did.
grandma.
Tanya will tell you, I did that all summer with the little kids around here. It was like, okay, y'all can come in my yard. I had paints and chalks and all kind of stuff for them to do in the yard all summer.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm like, okay, I'm the neighborhood mom or auntie or whatever you want to call me, but I'm like, they needed something to do. They needed somebody who was gonna be present and give them that structure, because I'm the one that'll get in the ass if they acting up. But but um now my question is, like I keep talking about this SOS and I want to start this program, but my main problem or concern, and that's something that I wanted to share with you too. How do we get our community on board with these programs? How do we get them to be of one accord?
All right. So my thing to that, and like I said, I'm new to this whole process. But from what I've seen is there are a lot of organizations that have a separate piece of the pie. The NAACP has one piece, the Urban League has one piece, the Empowerment Network has one piece, Black Men United has one piece, 100 Black Men has another piece, but they're not putting those pieces together. So we have to have somebody
Okay.
at the top that wants to put these pieces together, because like you, I'm sure that there's a program out there that wants to do the same thing that you're doing, but somebody else has already called dibs on it and they don't want to give up what they got, whether it's grant money or whatever it is. So
Mhm.
we got to put our resources together. We can't continue to do the same thing but do it separately, because it's reinventing the wheel. You can't have 4 organizations doing the same thing but doing it differently, because that's confusing people. Like you said, if you have your SOS and then somebody else has something similar to it, it's breaking up the unity that we need to come together and to build.
Mhm.
So we
Yeah.
got to have somebody at the top that's going to say, hey, look, you know, you're getting this money, you got this many people. Let's just put this together so we can build a whole and build a structure. And that's what we have to do.
So like maybe a couple of town hall, not necessarily town hall, but maybe in a school gym, one night a week, meet with some of these people in the different communities and talk to them about economic development, and you know, getting together, like you said, calling the mayor's office, having them tear down these abandoned buildings, and then bringing in some of our ethnic brethren to come and build up some more mom and pop shops that'll bring local development and jobs into our neighborhoods. You know, I got a lot of ideas. I'm just kind of stuck as to where to start.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think
So,
that the city is a good level to do it. So what you were talking about with the contractors, we got the small and emerging business program that's supposed to be attracting minority developers to doing a lot of stuff in the city. And I don't know what the exact numbers are, but there's a stipulation on there where you have to have a certain amount of minorities in your program or in your business to qualify for that small and emerging business program.
mhm.
And then, like I said, the mom and pop shops, that's definitely what we need to, you know, boost economic development. We can't keep having all these, even a grocery store, you know, we have Fair Deal and they were doing their best to maintain, but even if we can get a small grocery store down here, you know, I have nothing against Walmart, but everybody don't need to go to Walmart all the time. Walmart's got enough money. We need,
For real.
we need Sister Jones with the grocery store with the fresh fruits and the fresh food around
Right.
the groceries.
And see,
Yeah.
what a lot of people don't realize, because like I lived on 16th and Lake for 8 years. Other than Chubb's, which is extremely expensive, but they can afford to do that because they know they're the only grocery store in that area. There are
Mhm.
no from 30th Street to at least 16th Street. There are no grocery stores other than Chubb's. From
And
30th
Chubb's get
Street all the way down, from 30th Street
yep.
all the way down to Carter Lake, there's no gas stations.
Right.
None.
And Chubb's
And
benefits from both sides of the track in that area.
right,
So like you said, they can keep on being charging people what they're charging people,
because they know people, and a lot of people in those areas, they took the buses out of there, so there's no bus route, and a lot of people down there don't have transportation. So Chubb's is the closest thing that they can walk to, or they can catch a ride with my neighbor because they going that way anyway.
Yeah, and then the transportation thing, that orbit system irritates me. So you mean to tell me you paid all that money to put a bus going up Dodge Street, but the rest of the city struggling? Yeah, that transportation, that's a whole other. But like I said, economic development. If we can get our own economic stuff going, we can pay a nonprofit to start shuttling people, like you said, start shuttling people to wherever they need to go to get groceries.
Right. Right. Well, what I was going to ask you next was, I got a few more questions. Carmel even might have a few more too. But one of the questions that I wanted to ask you was, as far as like in the community, like, are there any programs that you're already a part of, like whether it's volunteering or serving in the city in some type of way?
All right, so I'm a youth football coach with the Junior Huskies with the Metro Youth Football League, and we
Okay.
had a pretty good season this year. So the organization is definitely growing. And then I'm part of an organization with Chrome Lewis. We started it, him and Lee Jackson. And I'll answer that question in just a minute because I got some words about that one too. But
I read that and I wasn't gonna say.
I know. I just saw it.
Yeah. But I'm definitely so I'm part of this group with Chrome. It's called Black Men Step In, and what we're doing is securing, teaching, educating, protection, and nurturing. And so we're kind of not replacing the Mad Dads, but we're more of a on the ground. This is what's going on right now, watching the social media sites, and we're, showing up to these houses where these kids are having problems and, doing things like that. So we're more of a, this is going down right now, 1 o'clock, 11 o'clock, phone calls go out, we're going. And Robert Wagner too, he's definitely part of that with trying to get those things going too. So that's what I've been trying to do, but I stay
Oh yeah, we love Wags.
Yes, I'll stay kind of behind the scenes though, because I'm not much of a grandstander. I like doing my work and letting my work show what I do instead of going out here and announcing, hey, this is who I am, and beating my chest.
That sounds like Wags. I don't know how many times we tried to get him on the show.
Man, we have begged and begged.
But yeah, so thanks for answering that for us. Now, before you answer that question in the chat, I was going to ask you, was there anybody who's backing you or anybody who's supporting your campaign, that we might would know, or how is your campaign being supported? Because with every candidate that comes on our show, whether you are being supported or have a GoFundMe or anything like that, we like to support that and put it out there as far as, because I know it costs to run a campaign.
Yeah. So I just recently acquired a campaign manager. Michael, he was Terrell's campaign manager, and that I think that's going to definitely help boost my campaign. Like I said, the reason is we want what's best for the community. Like I said, I watched how Michael helped Terrell run his campaign, and I liked the things that Terrell was intending on doing for the residents of the community as far as when he got put in office. So I kind of want to be able to follow along that same track of ensuring that, or trying my best to ensure that I can get in that position. So that way, if I am elected, I can implement some of the changes that I want to see as well in the community. But as far as backing, as I'm brand new to this, as I'm not a politician, I don't have donors, I don't have, I don't have people like Susie Buffett that's gonna front my entire campaign. I'm not saying any names, but I don't have people like Susie Buffett that's gonna drop my entire campaign fund. So I do know that there's gonna be some stiff competition, but I do have a team of individuals that are going to help me so that way we can get the community to where we want to be.
Okay. All right. We got any more questions, Karma Diva?
I think I'm good. I do want to know a little bit more about that. I call it the neighborhood big brother, uncle, stepdaddy group that he was just talking about, where they
Yeah,
kind of
when you
the
said step
men in the
in, do you
community.
mean step in like?
Hey, we coming. No,
I mean,
no,
they just stepping in, they filling in, they standing in
Okay,
the gap. You know how we say it in church? They standing in the gap. They standing in the gap.
I'm about to say,
Not
I
like
love me
they
a good step show. No?
look. No, we ain't shopping for stepdaddies. Now hold on.
Yeah, but honestly, that's what it is, and that's why I appreciate being a part of that group, is because we're all, we all know Chrome. I don't know if you know Chrome, but he's been in the streets and he's done some things. So it's more of a individuals that have not had the best experiences and have done some things that some of these kids out here or these young men are considering doing, and trying to ensure that they're not following in the same footsteps. And that's what it is. There was one incident where we had with two kids, and we had the moms talk to each other. Like, that's how bad it was. You saying that your son's not doing this, and you saying that your son's not doing this. Well, if neither one of y'all sons is doing this, y'all the mamas. Tell y'all boys, knock it off. Y'all sit down, talk, tell them knock it off, and then that's the end of it. So I said, but that's how we used to solve things, though. Where's your mom?
Exactly.
Go get your mama. Tell your mom come here. We gonna
Right.
I will show that mom. I would tell a kid quick and go get your mama. Go tell her I said it.
Now Johnny, you already know. I'm quick to tell a kid over here. As long as you in my yard, I will protect your child just like they one of mine. But they step out of line, I'm gonna correct them like they one of mine. And if you have an issue, please come and talk to me. I suggest that you do, so that you don't get any misunderstandings.
Exactly.
And that's what we're missing. We're missing that in the community of some parents, being afraid to speak to these kids. I ain't never been afraid to.
Girl.
But yeah, I know some parents out here don't play that with their kids. But anyway, that's a whole nother show now. Okay, so my last question is, and if anybody else in the chat is watching and got a question, here's your time to hurry up and jot it down in the chat so we can get to your question before the show ends, because we got like 10 more minutes. But my question is, my last one. There's a few people running for candidacy for District 2. One of them are Stephen, one of them are David. I don't know how many other people might be running for next year, but what makes you
stand out?
What do you think makes you stand out from the other candidates?
I don't know much about the other candidates' history, but I think the fact that I have lived outside of Omaha, so I lived in Germany and I lived in Texas, I lived in California, so I have a outside understanding of some things that can occur in the community. So when I lived in Germany's the cleanest place I've ever been, just because they are self-sustained and self-sufficient, with cleaning the streets and with recycling. And we're not going to talk about that whole recycling thing, but if we can get that stuff together eventually, then it'll help the community overall. Then also, when my last duty assignment when I was in the military, I was platoon sergeant, and I had 40 soldiers underneath me. So I had to deal with them and their families on a constant basis. And it's more than an employee-employer relationship. It's not like a supervisor thing. You're literally in every aspect of their lives, whether it's finances, whether it's kids, whether it's medical care. You have to be empathetic and understanding. And you also have to understand that there are rules and laws and requirements that have to be followed as well. And right. I don't live in the gray. That's why, like I said, with the Kenneth Jones thing, I called him out. No, there's no, well, this could have happened or that could have happened. No, this is what it said.
What did happen?
This is what needs to happen. You can't have any in between. And I think that that objectivity and that, you know, that level of understanding will also help with the community. You know, there's no, you know, we're giving West Omaha this, but we're going to give North Omaha this. No, that's not how this is going to work. You know, everybody's going to, it's either all or nothing. Everybody's going to get the same or nobody's going to get nothing. And that's the gap that I'm going to stand in as far as that's concerned for the community.
Especially when it comes to school, and especially when it comes to this online schooling that we got going on, how the kids should all have exactly what they need, no matter where they live, to try to, you know, do their homework and their schoolwork, you know, as best as they can under these circumstances.
Oh, don't worry. Cox is on my
I
list of
mean, my
people
son, he
to
flat
deal
out
with.
refused the iPad.
Yep.
You said Cox
My
what?
son,
And I was going to say, Cox is on my list of people to talk to. So with Cox and CenturyLink and all them, the city gives them so much tax cuts and all this stuff. There's no reason why my internet down here where I live is substandard or it drops frequently or no.
thank you.
There needs to be some type of either, you know, you step your service up, you know, this is a pandemic. We know you got a bottom line that you're trying to cover and you paying your CEOs probably who knows what. But like I said, we all in this together. It's a pandemic. You can do something, you know, cut some revenue on one end so we're not as far behind. So the internet down here and the service down here for what we pay for Cox is not what we need to get. So like I said, there's things at the city level that people don't understand can be affected. You wouldn't think of something as small as Cox being a city issue, but it is.
It is.
The city can bring in somebody else. They don't have to have Cox.
Right, and CenturyLink ain't much better.
Yeah.
Tanya tell you, I'm always complaining about CenturyLink.
Well, I have Cox, and people be like, when I tell them how much I pay, which is like over $125 just for my internet, they're like, "Oh my God, you pay that much?" But you know, I was talking to my supervisor today about like the speed of the internet. How a lot of people at my job who lives in this area be complaining because it doesn't match what it was, you know, what it is for people who live out west. And when you paying, like you said, an arm and a leg for service, I have a job where I have to have so much production done a month. I mean, a day, I should say a day. And when the service is not working as well as it is in other areas, it could affect your job stability. And I'm like, supervisor, I can only work so fast. What do you want me to do? But when it's a monopolized like that in the community, we have definitely. We have.
But see, it is, you know, with my thing with the CenturyLink is like my daughter. Well, my kids are both remote, and so my daughter, she's in 4th grade, and her tablet is. I mean, the internet down here, as much as I pay for internet a month, is, you know, she'll come in and be like, "Mom, my internet. I mean, my tablet won't work. I can't get on." My son, he wouldn't even bother with OPS's little raggedy iPad thing. He was like, "No, I'm just using my computer." And I just had to go buy him another one last week because he broke the other one. I'm mad about that. But anyway, but he's been using his own. So luckily he's been, you know, he hasn't been having that many issues unless they out there fiddling with, and we got a big transformer across the street in the back. And so they back there messing with the wires constantly. And that's another reason that my kids are always getting knocked off a line during school. And that pisses me off. I'm like, what?
Well, when you do talk to Cox, please let me know their response. I would love to get the feedback that you got from them. And tell them I need a discount. Tell them I need a discount.
Well, right now they're not scared of nobody, so that's what we got to do. We got to put some fear in some of these folks that hold the monopoly. You know, like
they have no competition here.
Up down there, you know, we got to put some fear in these folks. You know, and that, you know, that hurts my soul. Even with the OIC, so we'll go to that one too, because I got, you know, some individuals in this same group. You know, we do have men and women. One of them is part of the leaders in trying to do the Save OIC.
Right.
And, you know, if we had some community funds then we can buy that building ourselves. Like when Native Omaha went up for sale, we could buy that ourselves. We don't have to let those outside people like Buffett come in and buy those buildings from us. If we can get a business improvement district up and, you know, save some of that revenue within the district, because that's what they can do. That's the only way that you can hold money for a certain area is if it's an improvement district. So we get this improvement district up.
Yeah.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, can I make a suggestion? If y'all do get a hold of the OIC building again, can we put some classes in there that will teach life skills to people? Because like you said, when I first logged in, college ain't for everybody. So can we get some people coming in teaching, not just the fellas, some of these girls too, teaching them how to work on a car, how to change a tire, change their oil, stuff like that. Teaching them, you know, how to dress for an interview, how to sit up and speak and not, yeah, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? You know, learn how to speak when you are in an interview. Do mock interviews with each other.
That's what they used to do back in the day.
Yep, I'm working on bringing that back.
They don't do that. They don't even have home ec schools no more.
Yep, it was.
I remember my first year in CETA was at the OIC. I was down there and they was teaching us computer programming, typing, filing, how to do an interview, what to say in an interview. I mean, they had all that mock stuff going on in the summer programs. Yep, I remember that.
Yep, but they don't do that stuff no more.
And ask yourself why they took that away. We about to end this interview, so let's think about why they took a lot of those programs out of the community. Because the community is a threat. If we can build up and band up the way that we know we can, the community is a threat. And right now, nobody's looking at North Omaha as a threat, and that's I don't want North Omaha to be a threat in a negative way, but there you go. That's exactly right. We got to start our own and build and prosper, and that's what this is about. Get some stability, getting some jobs, you know, bringing those jobs back here. And that's what a lot of people don't see either. You know, you building call centers, you know, like I said, everybody used to work at West back in the day. We don't work at West no more. We want, you know, better paying jobs in our community that we can build and live off of. Because it's not getting
nobody want to start at the bottom. That's what it is. Everybody think they ought to be the CEO, and it's like, come on, we need you to start at the bottom and work your way up, baby. Because see, there's a lot of levels between CEO and starting at the bottom, and you need to know all of them if you're gonna be at the top. Because you got to learn how to tell everybody else how to do their job, and that's what we as people, especially Black people, let's tell it like it is. We don't like hearing that, and we don't like doing that. We think we ought to be at the top. And we got to learn sometimes you have to start at the bottom to work your way up. And not only that, it builds character.
True. Yeah. Well, with that being said, I want to thank our guest for coming on tonight and Carmel Diva for helping me host this interview. I know it's 9 o'clock, so we went about an hour. I was trying to keep it to an hour because it is a work night for everybody. Johnathan,
not
is there
me.
Not Carmel Diva. But is there any last words you want to say to us as far as your campaign, you being a candidate for the District 2 City Council, or especially your contact information or website if anybody wants to contact you as well?
All right. So first, thank you for having me on the show. I appreciate the opportunity to even come out and put myself out there. Like I said, I'm not really as well known in the community as I'd like to be, but you know, that's because I've been sitting back kind of watching what was going on, and now's the time to start, you know, applying pressure. And that's what I want to do. I want to start applying pressure to people that are in these positions to either, you know, to put up or get out the way.
Right.
That's what we want to do. So my campaign is the economic stability, and I want to, you know, work on bringing back jobs. I already talked to people about bringing back CETA, you know, things like that. I want to make North Omaha or District 2 sustainable for the future. I said, if anybody wants to reach out to me, my email address right now is Lathan, Lathan, 4FOR 2021 johnathan@gmail.com. I said, I will answer any and all questions. Like I said, because at this point, I don't want to get out here and tell the community what I think they need. I want to hear from the community what they want from us.
Right.
So
Now, do you have a Cash App or a GoFundMe that people can donate to your campaign to?
yeah, I'm getting that all set up currently. Like I said, I just gotta, my campaign team is just getting put in place. But once everything is in place, I'll definitely make sure that information is being put out through the right channels to get to the right people.
Okay.
And make sure you give it to us, because we always post the links to the video in the description. So even if you don't get the Cash App till next week or whatever, whenever you get it, give us all your contact information and your Cash App, and we'll pin it to the description of the video so people can see it every time they come across the video.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate that.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
You are so welcome. And thanks
Johnathan,
again.
I wanted to ask you, are you related to Donna?
Yes, that's my aunt. Yeah. So
Donna like family to me. My aunt is her best friend.
Okay, yeah, she's definitely a character. So you see some of where I come from then. So
oh yeah, I know your people then. I know your people.
So.
They go, my family and your family go way back.
Oh shoot! Well,
it might have been either your daddy or one of your uncles. They spoke in my grandma's way, and he was a trip.
Oh Lord. Well, they said as long as we keeping the family name intact, that's all that matters.
Right.
That's part of my goal too, is to keep the name together. Like you said, Lathan.
Yes.
We've been in Omaha for years, so it's we not a big name, but we are a family, and that's the way I want this community to look like. I want us to all be a family like that. So.
Oh yeah.
I agree. That's something to look forward for. And I wish you the best of luck on your campaign.
Good luck.
And I think you got good management after you, because Terrell, I told you before, I really love the way he ran his campaign. He was very, it was he was very active. He was always out there in the public, and we always saw him. So the way they ran that campaign is like, you see him, you hear him, you see what he's doing in the community and what he's speaking for. So yeah, I wish you the best of luck with them, helping you run your campaign. And if there's any
your endeavors,
let us know.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
No problem. On that note, everybody, everybody, make sure you like the video, share the video, subscribe to the Hood Table, and also when I get Johnathan's information, I will pin it to the YouTube video so you guys can contact him or donate to his campaign. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Have a wonderful night.
All right, thanks.
Stay safe, be blessed, stay vigilant, keep the hood.
Keep it hood. All right, good night.